Hey everybody, today I'm talking to you about how to find the best off-market deals. Number one, directly contacting owners. Number two, driving for dollars. Number three, using wholesalers. Number four, short sales. 5, auctions and foreclosures. 6, tax liens and tax deeds. 7, networking. 8, Craigslist. 9, probate. Those are the ways I'm going to talk about today. So let's dive into this list of 9 things. And we're going to start with number 1, directly contacting owners. This is the number 1 way, in my opinion, to get off-market deals. And why is that? Because it's the most direct way of doing this. You find out the areas you want to focus on, you get your criteria, and you get a list of the properties in that area that you want to buy. And then you send letters to all of them. Now there are websites you can do this on. The one I think of off the top of my head is called ListSource, and that's the one that I've used so far. Number 2 is driving for dollars. I also call it walking for dollars, and I love this one. It's a lot of fun. I did it recently. I went to a neighborhood that I liked and I just started walking around, taking pictures of houses that I thought would be good candidates for the ones that I wanted to buy. And then I looked up the owners, sent them letters, called them, texted them, and I've done that on several houses now. Driving for dollars is exactly what I just described, except I did it with walking. You drive around a neighborhood, write down addresses or take pictures of addresses of houses that you think would be something that you could buy. Now you want to buy houses that are value add. This is what I'm talking about earlier. You can't just buy a house that's beautiful that's being listed on the MLS for full price. You can't pay retail price for something because the numbers won't work when you're paying market value for something. With driving for dollars, you need to look for properties that need to be fixed up because you might be able to get a very good deal on it. Number 3 is wholesalers. A wholesaler has a very interesting job. A wholesaler will find somebody to buy a property from and find it at a very cheap price. He'll do that by using the methods I already talked about. Directly contact owners, and he'll drive for dollars or walk for dollars. And he might use a lot of the other things that I'm going to talk about today. But what he does is he finds somebody who's a motivated seller who's going to sell their house very cheap. He gets a price. Let's say it's $50,000. He makes a special contract. Then he goes out and finds a buyer for that property. Somebody who will pay $70,000 for it. So he's buying it for $50,000, find someone that'll pay $70,000 for it. The way the contract is drawn up, he actually never owns the property. When the property sells, it goes directly from the person he bought it from to the person that he sold it to, and he pockets the difference. He never actually buys it himself. It's a special contract that he draws up. That's what a wholesaler does. He's a middleman. Wholesaling is a very interesting game because a lot of people that get into it have no experience and no money. So you've got all kinds of characters trying to be wholesalers. So there's a lot of wannabe wholesalers out there. Now that being said, there's also a lot of awesome wholesalers out there who are turning over 5, 10, 15 properties a month. You want to find that second type, the awesome type, and get on their list. Now how are you going to find these wholesalers? Well, they're the ones that have those bandit signs outside. You've probably seen those bandit signs that say like we buy ugly houses. Call those are wholesalers. In your real estate investor association groups or Facebook pages, you'll meet them there. You might want to check Craigslist. They also have those websites that you've probably seen before that say we buy houses for cash. Get in touch with wholesalers, explain what kind of houses that you're looking for, and get on their lists. These are people you want to be working with. Again, if this is helpful, if you're enjoying this stuff, and if you think you'd like more stuff like this, hit the like button. It'll help me out a lot. It'll make me happy. It'll validate my life. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications, and comment. Let me know which one of these you think is going to help you the most. Number 4 is short sales. I've bought a few short sales. And what happens with short sales is they come out of situations where you buy a house with a loan, maybe you make a small down payment, or even if you make a large one. If the price of the house drops a lot to the point where you can't even sell it for the price of the loan, then you're in a situation where you can't sell without bringing money to the table. So that's when you can do a short sale. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000 with $20,000 down. Let's say the market crashes. Now the house is only worth $60,000, but you've got a loan for $80,000. You can't even sell this house. If you sell it, you'll actually have to bring $20,000 more to the table. Short sale is when a bank agrees to just sell it for the price that you can get for it and forgive the rest. It requires a bank's approval. And how long does it take to get a bank's approval? Well, it can take an extra few weeks, up to an extra 6 months or more. That's what a short sale is. You can get a really good deal on a short sale, but you have to put up with more BS, more uncertainty, and it can take a long time. Number 5, auctions and foreclosures. I've bought a few houses at these auction websites, and let me name them, and I'll put them in the notes down here. Auctions.com, homepeth.com, and hudhomestore.com. Now, this is still kind of like the MLS, but I'll tell you why you can get a better deal on these websites. It's because it's a pain in the ass to deal with them. If you want to buy these properties, you have to register on these websites. You have to jump through a bunch of extra hoops and do a bunch of extra paperwork to buy these things. A lot of real estate agents don't want to deal with it. A lot of investors don't want to deal with it. So if you're willing to put up with that BS, you can get a good deal. Number 6 is tax liens and tax deeds. Also very complicated. Again, since it's complicated, that just gives you an advantage. If you learn this stuff and you're willing to go through all this pain, you can get a good deal on a property. What is a tax lien? What is a tax deed? There are lots of people out there that don't always pay their taxes. If you don't pay your property taxes, even if the house is paid off, eventually it could take 6 months, a year, or 2 years. The state will take the house back from you to get that property tax. Now they have a certain way of doing this that makes it easier for them. They use investors like you and me. You can buy either a tax lien or you can do it through a tax deed. With a tax lien, somebody like me can come in and in an auction, we bid on these things called tax lien certificates. And basically, it's a certificate that gives you the ability to collect the owed taxes from the owner with interest. And this interest can be very high. I think it's 12% here in Alabama, and it's as high as 24% in some places. So you can collect this money from the owner plus interest. If they don't pay these things, you get to foreclose on the property at a substantial discount. And now you own the property. That's the beauty of this. That's how the tax lien certificate works. There's also something called a tax deed. Tax deed is a little bit easier to deal with because with a tax deed, you're actually buying the property up front. Once the state takes it, they're just selling it to you. In some cases, the owners can't get that house back, but in other cases, they actually have a way of getting it back if they come up with the money, and you have to sort of be prepared for that. They've got to reimburse you for expenses that you've spent since then. Number 7 is networking. It should go without saying that you want to network with everybody when you're trying to find off-market deals. But maybe there's other people you should be thinking about that aren't as obvious, and one of them is investors. When you go back to number 1 on this list, which is directly contacting owners, you're going to find sometimes that the same name or the same LLC pop up a lot. That means this person's a big investor. This is somebody that you want to talk to. Now, keep this in mind. Investors, they're not motivated sellers. They're not going to sell you the property typically for a good deal, but they might point you in the right direction and they'll give you a lot of good knowledge and they'll tell you a lot about the market that can be helpful. Property managers, they know so many landlords and they know the financial situation and like the personal situation of all these landlords. They know the landlords that aren't taking care of their properties, that don't want to pay for repairs, that are falling behind. They might be able to give you an idea of some people who might want to sell their houses. Contractors, when you're driving for dollars, walking for dollars, just hanging out, just in your own neighborhood and you see contractors working on a property, pull over. Go talk to them. Ask them about the property. Ask them about the owner. Number 8, Craigslist. I think Craigslist is kind of a weird place. It's kind of shady sometimes. A lot of weird stuff happens on Craigslist. That's why it can be a very good place to find off-market deals. Now, the obvious thing that people think of is, oh yeah, someone's trying to sell a property on Craigslist and maybe it's not listed on the MLS. That is a possibility. You should look at those. But that is not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the landlords that are advertising the rentals on Craigslist. I think that this is a great opportunity because these landlords, they probably don't want to take the time or don't have the savviness or whatever the situation is. Like they don't want to use a realtor. They don't want to pay money for websites that cost money to advertise. So contact them the same way that that a renter would, but say, hey, I'm actually interested in buying your property. Probate. Well, probate is the legal process that happens when somebody passes away and all of their possessions, all of their property, and I don't necessarily mean real estate property, all of their property has to go through a legal process so that it can be given to the heirs or to the people that have been designated in a will. Now, probate sometimes happens with a will or without a will. With a will, it's faster. Without a will, it can take much longer. There are probate attorneys, and these probate attorneys are involved in probate happening. Probate can take anywhere from, maybe it'd be fast if it happened in 6 months. It could take years. You want to insert yourself into this probate process because what you can do is you contact the heirs, you contact the probate attorney, and you let them know, hey, I'll buy this property from you guys. Don't bother getting it cleaned up. Don't put any money into it. Don't work with a realtor and pay the extra fees. There's a lot of public information, and you just got to check with how it works in your city. And I'll have a link below to some more information about probate. You can buy a list of probate properties. There's usually stuff in the paper and stuff online about new probate cases, and you can contact probate attorneys and try to find out information from them. I hope it was helpful today with the tips for finding off-market deals. Once again, like, ding, subscribe, ding, ding, and comment. Let me know which one of these 9 you're going to go out and try. Leave me a comment. I want to know. This is Rich on Money, signing off.